there's a bit of a mixed audience here because there are faces that are familiar who I know have seen about the high-value manufacturing catapult before, but there are also some new faces that don't know anything about it. So in the context of today's debate, I think it's quite important that everybody has a grounding. Is it on straight click, is it? That's it, good. Okay, the catapult, the high-value manufacturing catapult, is here to address a market failure, and that's known as the valley of death. We've got very good research institutions in the UK, great research, pretty well funded, some of the best universities. We've got some great industries, which you just heard about. But we don't do the middle bit very well. We don't support industry enough through the technology scale-up. And the failure rate there is due to a risk aversion, a technical risk aversion, and also a financial risk aversion. Financial institutions in the UK, certainly from my own experience, don't have the technical literacy and understanding to support companies through that difficult valley of death. And picking up on one of Raj's earlier comments, I do think the UK has lost a little bit of its self-confidence in that space as well. But that's what the manufacturing catapult is here to fix, and that's where we fit in. We reach back into the research base, and we reach forward into industry, but we're there to plug that gap. And our funding for that is government-backed through the Technology Strategy Board. There are 7 catapults in total. Those are they, and I'm responsible for the high-value manufacturing one at the bottom, and I'll tell you some more about that. What we do is to help companies of all sizes incubate and scale up new technologies through the development of new manufacturing processes. And critically, that risk is reduced by giving access to open-sourced, cutting-edge manufacturing equipment, and also giving companies access to the world-class research base, principally the universities, which back into the Catapult centres. We provide at-elbow support to companies, so physical engineers and technologists working with companies, and we're a great source and place for open innovation. That's across the sector, so we get automotive and aerospace companies working together. Cross technologies, we're able now to mix technologies across the sectors, and we involve the whole supply chain. And we've even got, in the Catapult centres, direct competitors working together. At Sheffield, for instance, we have Boeing at the Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre, and just joined that centre is Airbus. Now, they're direct competitors, and they will say that they compete on aircraft design, very clearly, but they don't necessarily compete in new ways of cutting metal high speed, and that's the type of work that they're doing in Sheffield. Who do we help? Well, by definition, the challenge that we've all got is to move the game on in the UK, and it's all going to be about high-end technologies and high value. So it's characterized by technologies or industries which are R&D intensive, and we focus our effort on those areas which are going to have most impact on the sector. Although we help companies of all sizes, we are driven by the defined strategy contained in that document, which was developed by Mike Gregory at the Institute for Manufacturing. And that asked industry the question, what is it that you want from the future of manufacturing in the UK? And it's a major Bible for us in setting the work content within high-value manufacturing Catapult. There's a picture of some of the companies that we physically help. I won't dwell on that. That's only the tip of the iceberg of the ones that want to be known. The 7 centres that are in the high-value manufacturing Catapult previously existed, came together to bid for the crown, if you like, of being the Catapult. Those are the 7. About £350 million invested in those 7 centres to date, principally from Regional Development Agency money. And we have core funding guaranteed now for 5 years from the Treasury of just over £140 million. And on top of that, we have drawn in over 200 million of new funding in the first year of operation. So that's expansion programs, which have been separately funded, because already we're at capacity in some of the centres and beginning to expand. And we've been drawing funds from areas such as the Advanced Manufacturing Supply Chain Initiative. And just to put a scale on it, we've got something like 800 staff across the 7 centres. And a very broad technology base. I won't give you the whole Cook's tour of all 7 centres because we haven't got the time today. But if you look across on the right-hand side of the page, chemical and bioprocessing up at the Centre for Process Innovation, we're helping companies, and 70% of the companies that we help at CPI are SMEs. We're helping companies develop new therapeutic drugs and the scale-up thereof. So things like new antibiotics that are going to be less prone to resistance are being developed and scaled up at the Centre for Process Innovation. And at the far left top corner, up in Strathclyde, we've got the Advanced Forming Research Centre where we do a lot of metal forming and metal forging. I'm just going to give you a view inside one of the centres just to give you a sense of the scale. That's the Manufacturing Technology Centre, which is based in Elsy. And you can see what a splendid-looking facility it is. It says everything about high-value manufacturing. And a recent flamboyant Italian visitor said it is like a cathedral to manufacturing. And in fact, it does feel like that. It's a fabulous, fabulous facility. And it's set up to develop processes for advanced assembly, fixturing and tooling. We have in there additive layer manufacturing capability, so laser sintering, technologies like that. A lot of robotics, hot isostatic pressing, so making parts out of powdered metal. And we also have an electronics assembly facility, and it is one of our big centres for simulation, so using computational methods to simulate manufacturing processes. Just some pictures inside the building. This big machine is a very large automated cell capable of taking big chunks of stuff like big aircraft parts, whole car body structures, and able to do operations within 200 micron placing within a sort of 20 or 30 metre length. So some quite extraordinary accuracy. Middle of the page there at the bottom you see, although it's a showcase piece, some of the work we're doing in additive layer manufacturing. And on the top right, that's our immersion cave for our 3D virtual environment, which we've got some very powerful 3D computing technology at the centre. Top left, you see the full-scale manufacturing facilities for pick and place for electronics, so high-speed, full-scale electronic assembly capability. Top right pictures of some of our absolutely world-class machining centres. And the thing that's glowing in the middle of the page to the right, very exciting thing to see happen, is our friction welding facility. It's a lot of fun to watch that when it's running, I have to say, if you're an engineer. And finally, you might say it's a robot. Well, so what? This is in build at the moment. And on the end of that, because it's a question of what you put on the end of a robot that counts, is going to be a 20 kilowatt fibre laser. And that is for welding large structures together very accurately. And we're providing open source access to that machinery. And it will be the largest, most powerful fibre laser in Europe on an open source basis. And it typifies the type of technology that we're investing in the Catapult, that a company on its own wouldn't normally invest in something of that scale to develop a technology for themselves. But when you bring companies together with government support, it is all possible. So it's a great example of the type of thing we're investing in within the centres. I've talked about the government role. What is it? Well, it's about providing the right environment for us, and principally that environment is funding. And the funding model for the Catapult is a third model. We get a third of our funding through from the Technology Strategy Board, and that's absolutely crucial because that's the money that helps reduce the industry risk. And that goes into keeping that kit and machinery at the cutting edge and investing in core skills. And I have to say, with a £350 million invested base, just short of £30 million a year for the 7 centres doesn't feel like enough, but I'm not going to make a political point of that. I'm just going to put a scale on it. The other third comes from business and industry, and I can tell you that demand for our services is quite extraordinary. And our forward order book is looking really strong, and we're already bumping into the edges of the buildings and the facilities that we own. We've just announced a doubling of the size of the National Composite Centre. Manufacturing Technology Centre is bursting at the seams, and we've also just announced at the back end of last year a National Biologics Centre for scale-up of pharmaceuticals. The final third comes from us and industry and the academia working together to bid for collaborative R&D. That might be through UK-based funds or European funds such as Horizon 2020. Well, is it working? Well, it's been open 18 months. We're the first Catapult to be up and running. We have 431 businesses directly involved on programs in the Catapults. And in the first 12 months, we've had over 600 projects through our doors. And in terms of that funding model, well, for every £1 of core funding we've had in the last 12 months, we've drawn down £1.50 of industry and collaborative money. And that ratio is getting better and better. We're not far off being at that one-third, one-third, one-third model. And as I said to you earlier, we brought in 200 million of additional funding because we've got the ability to get stuff done and there is support for us. And the output, are we making a difference to industry? Well, we've got some tangible results. If you've got the appetite, you can have a look at our website, which has just gone live, a new one, which has got a lot of the case studies on. But I've just grabbed two off that website just to give an example. A big one to start with, Rolls-Royce. They've been working with the Advanced Manufacturing Research team at Sheffield. So a joint team has been working on that thing, which is a high-performance disc. It's where the fan blades slot into on a gas turbine engine. And if you know anything about machining, it's made of titanium. It's a very complicated thing to machine. And the joint team, have taken significant, not just the odd 0.5% here and there, but significant amount of machining time out of that through the application of some really well thought through technology out of Sheffield. And as a result of that, Rolls-Royce are building a new machining facility just outside of Newcastle up in the northeast. And the anchor point for Rolls-Royce is nothing to do with the labour cost per se. It's to do with the fact that the knowledge, the know-how generated in the UK is locking them in because it's competitive. The knowledge casts the biggest shadow by far. And small and medium enterprises, Berkeley Plastics, based in Birmingham, they've been working with the SME team at the Warwick Manufacturing Group at Warwick University, and we've been helping Berkeley access some new markets, principally off new manufacturing technology. So they've been looking at additive layer manufacturing for breaking into the medical device market. We've been helping them with some complex work on microscopy to look at their in-mold welding. And we've helped them develop a new process to win business with Bentley. And you can see, this is SME scale. It's a big deal for them to have that amount of increased turnover, and it has led to job creation. And Maurice Cassidy, I'll let you read the words quickly, looks like something of a fan for the Catapult. And that's just typical of the type of examples, both large and small, of the sort of companies we're helping. And are we doing the right thing on a more sort of global stage? Well, Lord Browers, we were together in the House of Lords earlier this year when we launched this report from the Big Innovation Centre, taking a look at a European benchmark of what the Catapult's doing against our European competitors. So the Fraunhofers, the TNOs, the VTTs, all those other institutions. The outcome, well, right on the button, we're absolutely doing the right thing. And the only comments really in the report are, given what we've got, we need to be bolder, ambitious, and even more enterprising. And certainly in my 30-year career in industry, it feels to me that the timing is absolutely right. The writing's on the wall about the need to rebalance the economy. It's a bit like an open door. The government's giving us the right level of support. I would encourage more, but the Catapult programme is absolutely the right thing to do, and I'm really pleased to be a part of it. Thank you very much.